welcome to a brand new episode of Sequel Rights, the podcast where we take a look at the franchises that make you go, they made how many of those? And we give each and every sequel a fair trial. My name is Justin Camps, and I'm here with
Elizabeth Ellie
and
Hero of the Federation, Tyler Hymanson.
Ooh, Hero of the Federation. Yeah. I like the
We all
sound of
know
that.
now that it's a hollow title.
That's right. Yeah. Well, we are here talking about Species 6, or as I like to call it, Horny Space Soldiers, the movie. Just kidding. That was a joke if you've watched the movie. We're talking about Starship Troopers 2, Hero of the Federation. Wow.
Yeah.
They made another Starship Troopers movie.
I feel like that this is the Starship Troopers sequence is like these sequels. It's like we might be stuck in a parallel universe where every movie that we've ever watched is now converging into one.
It's really kind of crazy. But before we get too far into it, you guys, we have to listen to this trailer because I think it's a good one.
When they captured the brain, the troopers controlled the battlefield. But it was only the beginning.
All personnel to the perimeter!
The bugs are back.
Pull back!
And this time it's different.
It's so different, you guys.
It's really different.
Yeah, this time it's different.
Especially because I'm pretty sure what they just described in the beginning of that trailer didn't even happen in the movie. Like capturing the brain bug and having control.
That was the end of the first movie.
No, I know, but that wasn't in this movie at all.
No, yeah, I guess they're just referencing the first one.
This movie scientifically proves that spending time with Steven Spielberg does not make you a good filmmaker.
Well, yeah. So why are you saying that? What
because
makes you say
we have Dan Tippett of
Phil Tippett.
Phil Tippett of the "You Only Had One Job" meme, a dinosaur supervisor on Jurassic Park.
You only had one job.
World-class puppeteer and VFX guy in Hollywood. This is his directorial debut and finale.
Oh, really?
He didn't really direct anything, some self-funded project, but this is the major thing that he directed.
Okay.
He had one shot.
Yeah.
He didn't miss it, though. He took it.
He took it.
Yeah, and I mean, what else? So we're kind of already. I mean, you probably can already tell we're a little bit down in this movie, probably. But like another reason to think that maybe it was going to be good is that the writer from the original is back for this.
Yes, writers from the original, and it does start with some propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Ed Nurmeyer. We were talking about how that probably had to be carried over, right?
We were hoping. We were hoping, and there was a "Do you want to know more?"
I feel like they forced them to add it in, though.
Yeah.
Probably.
Because they know, like, spoiler alert, they don't ever go back to it again until the end of the movie.
Yep.
Yeah, it like bookends the movie, and also they don't do it's only ever like one thing, pretty much. They do the "Do you want to know more?" but then it kind of continues in the same. It doesn't like cut into like some TV show.
You don't
some
actually
other
get
commercial.
to know more. We wanted to know so much more and never got to.
And it loses the whole computer screen thing where someone's clicking the next little tab.
This movie plays like the worst episode of the bad sci-fi show that's your guilty pleasure. Like it's like a bottle episode of like Farscape. I don't want to say Farscape. People love Farscape.
Stargate,
one of the Stargates. Not the one that people like. One of the ones that even the Stargate people are like, that one's weird.
Yeah.
Whatever the Deep Space Nine of Stargate is.
What about that underwater
I
submarine?
think it's Stargate
show?
Atlantis.
Sequest?
Yeah, no, that was a good one.
Sequest, that's the one. 'Cause that was on like the middle of the day on Saturday, right?
I
on
love
TV.
Sequest.
I thought that was all right, wasn't it? I mean, I don't know. Maybe I haven't watched it in a while.
Here's the thing: is that where the Life Aquatic, the dolphins thing comes from? Because that's the one that had super intelligent dolphins and they shot out torpedo tubes.
It very well might.
Anyway, we digress.
This movie, after the, do you want to know more propaganda thing, it just dumps you right in the middle of battle, which the first movie did also, and showed you some horrible stuff to get you into it in the beginning, but then immediately was like, 1 year later, 40 minutes of senior year so that you understand what some of these characters are doing. And this was like that, but without any of that context.
Like in the middle of this hectic, really dusty battle to hide all of the CG that maybe was not quite as good.
And the stage that they were on.
Yeah. They, in the middle of it, there's like a lieutenant going around like very quickly saying everyone's names like, Otter, do this, da, da, da. And then this guy, do that. And I think that was supposed to be the introduction to all those characters, but it went by so fast that, normally during the podcast, I have people's names, the character names up on the screen, but even looking at them, I'm like, even if I said who they were, I'm like, I don't think I remember which character that is.
Yeah, it'd have to be all like euphemisms, like that sex guy, and that young dude,
the naked girl,
the black one.
This is where we get introduced into the fighting shirtless first of the armed infantry, because there's a lot of shirtless people in this movie.
This is a bad scene. Yeah, it's just so like you can't really tell what's going on, and
it introduces you right away to the conflict between. I guess the psychic guys are now on the field in the battle, like giving directions to the lieutenants, even though those are like military guys. Yeah, like Neil Patrick Harris was never like on the field being like,
he only showed up afterwards.
Rico, like they only were doing high level strategy stuff, but this guy's like literally there, and he sucks. Oh my god, he's got like this little shit eating mustache, and it's just like he's awful.
His name
he's supposed to look
is
like a Weasley, dude.
Incredibly dumb. His name is Lieutenant Pavlov Dill.
And I get that he's supposed to be dumb and annoying, and they try to like give him a little arc where he redeems himself slightly later, but it's just kind of like Lieutenant in this first scene, like he was just annoying me so much.
Oh, he's the worst. I want to get back to his where he gets his comeuppance in this movie, because it was so hilarious to me. But yeah, he's awful. They're all. I mean, I guess it's kind of carrying over that everyone looks like perfect Barbie doll people. I guess at least they're trying to.
Well, we've definitely immediately abandoned the like mostly white, but for some reason from Buenos Aires thing,
right?
Because this time there's really no mention of where anybody's from, and this time we actually have like a multicultural cast, which like. Normally, I would be like, that's good in a movie. But in this case, I was like, because it was funnier before that they were all like white and Aryan.
I think it was the reason. That was the point to it, yeah.
So, I don't know. I was conflicted about that. Because I was like, yay, ethnic people, jobs. But then I was like, it doesn't fit.
It's hard to know who's a good actor in this movie because the direction is so over the top. Like, there's all these zoom booms into people making horrible reaction. Like it's shot as if this is a silent film where everyone needs to mug like giant expressions.
The worst was every time the main girl had a psychic vision. The look on her face was just awful. Like, it was not good.
Yeah, the visions looked real stupid too.
Yeah,
they kept showing the same thing, and I was like, okay,
at one point, so it's like it cuts to like a chessboard.
Yeah,
and her eye. Somebody drops like a headshot, like a burning headshot. I was like, oh, I guess someone wanted to be an actor.
Yeah, I don't remember. It was like her husband,
her ex, or whatever.
Sure.
The guy who died.
In the future when he keep his headshot because he wanted to do those orange juice commercials.
Well, not in the initial battle scene, but pretty soon when they get to like this fortress, some abandoned fortress that they take over to
the outpost.
Hide from the bugs.
Or like Hotel Delta or something.
Yeah, well, no, Hotel Delta. That's like letters. They're saying Squad HD, whatever. Yeah. Get it?
There was a sign that said Hotel Delta.
Hotel Rwanda.
Yeah, so they went to the hotel. They went to the Delta Sky Lounge.
But you can tell pretty quickly that all of the like cool stuff from the original movie about how like gender was just like not barely a thing anymore, and like nobody, while they were at work, nobody was sexualized, and like all men and women were pretty much seen as being completely equal in the workplace. Like that is completely out the window immediately. There's this whole thing about how she can't really be a good psychic because her woman hormones get in the way.
Oh, you got puberty, huh? Yeah, that fucks it up. Turns out. Wait. Hold up. Did you say you were pregnant?
Oh, now you're valuable
That
again.
changes everything.
Like, I mean, that could be an interesting idea, maybe, but like, it's so poorly.
The way that
executed.
scene is
Yeah.
acted, he was like, "Wait, did you see?"
It's one of the
So
things
stupid.
where there's no craft to it, so you can't tell if there's any subtleties. So all the misogyny just comes across as misogyny and not as commentary. And I
Yeah.
don't know that it was. I don't know on paper if it was supposed to be.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's almost like this is the view that if the first movie is completely propaganda, this is like what was under the propaganda, and you're like seeing maybe how it really is. I don't know. Like,
I guess that kind of gets into that gives it more credit than I was thinking. Like, it almost think that taints the legacy of like maybe the first one's not as clever because this is the same writer, or maybe it's just bad execution by Tippett.
No, I think. Well,
It's both of those things as well. But
yeah. I mean, in the special features, they don't go too much into like. Well, maybe it's in the one I didn't get a chance to watch, but they didn't go too much into like why
the
this movie.
one you missed.
Yeah, why this movie existed in the first place. But they did say that Ed Neurmeyer agreed to write the script on spec. Just like to see what happens, so he might have just like
Done it and thrown
not
it
put
away.
his whole heart into it,
Yeah.
and then they were like, "Shit, this is great, let's make it." So I don't know. That's just speculation. I can't speak for everybody involved, but the people on the special features were very
complimentary.
Complimentary
I
of
watched
Phil
this thing
Tippett and
too.
everything, yeah.
It was on the DVD from the Los Angeles Public Library.
They were like he knows what he's doing and everything. So I maybe it was just a budget thing. It's kind of like this whole thing is like a bottle episode movie.
Yes, no, that's what it is.
They never once they get to that outpost, they never leave it basically.
Well, and the practical stuff is still pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
anything practical is still like, okay, yeah, he really knows like what he's doing. And there was this whole thing in that documentary too about how Ray Harryhausen came to the set to visit him because Phil Tippett got upset that he couldn't go to the Hollywood Walk of Fame ceremony for Harryhausen. And he was so like sad about it that the producers like got Harryhausen to come visit the set.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, we were talking a little bit about the bad acting, and I will say that maybe these people were just not that great at the time.
Yep.
But many of them have gone on to
Be very successful.
Very successful. Like the main dude was on Desperate Housewives.
Yep.
One of the actors, Billy Brown, he has a role on How to Get Away with Murder. And yeah, a lot of the people have gone on to do much bigger things. JP Mano was the Dean lookalike in in Community.
Oh yes.
I can't remember what there was a name for him. It was not. It was like. I don't
Hang
know,
on,
doppelganger.
Doppeldeaner?
Doppeldeaner. Yeah, that might have been what it was.
The dude who's supposed to be like the young, sexy guy that first gets ruined by sex, he was like on One Life to Live when I was like a teenager. He was like the hot, sexy teenager guy that like came into town and like, you know, ruined the high school sweetheart relationship that had been going for like 5 years or whatever it was. So
That's so funny.
I instantly, when I saw him, I was like, oh my God, I know this person. Like, and then I looked it up and I was like, like freaking out. But interestingly, Brenda Strong was in the first Starship Troopers as a completely different
That's
character. And they don't really address that at all. She's just here as someone different.
She has a different name and everything. So
Yeah.
it's not supposed to be like that character got demoted from.
No, which wouldn't have made any sense because she was like a starship captain.
I think her character even probably died. Didn't she go down with the ship?
I don't recall. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think
because
she did.
Denise Richards and the other dude took over.
Yeah,
her character
and
died.
they escape, but I don't know if they show her getting in.
I still wish that this character, Rake, had been like, my twin sister was always so much better than me, and she became a starship captain, but then she died.
Filthy fly boy.
That'd be
Yeah.
so funny. Yeah.
It's not a Dean pun. It is a Moby pun. He is Phoebe.
Oh god, that's funny. That's funny. Yeah, this movie in the very beginning, like in the first 20 minutes, I wanted to just like turn it off and take a break.
It was really difficult. Like I was watching it on the train. Sorry to cut you off, but like,
no,
I was watching it on the train and there was a glare. Like I was on my iPad and I was watching it and I was like, I can't see what's happening. And there's no audio cues in terms of what's happening.
No.
It's just a bunch of shouting.
Shooting
I was
guns.
just like, okay, well, I'm gonna read a synopsis from the beginning of this movie.
Yeah, but there's like, so I wanted to stop it somewhere to like take a break and do something else for a minute before I dove back in. But like the whole first like I don't know, maybe even the whole first half an hour feels like one long continuous thing where there's like no break or anything. There's just like slowly going to this outpost and you know, like we were saying, it's like we're only dealing with these people. We're not looking at the space fleet or anybody else. So it's like you're just in this like long stretch where they're getting to the outpost, and once they finally get to the outpost, then they take a break where they like find this other prisoner and they like cut away from all the main characters.
It's exhausting.
But it's like this long thing, and I was like, there's no good stopping point. Like, I can't. Oh God, this is not.
It's
I need to take a break from these people.
It's why movies need B plots.
Yeah, exactly.
And this movie eventually develops some, but it's not. It takes 30 minutes for them to get through to this outpost where you actually get to, because like you said, they think that they've introduced these characters. And the funniest thing about this, they think they've introduced these characters, and this movie thinks that it's made memorable characters. Because
God, no.
Did you watch the credits?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they've used like the extras of them all smiling like it's a sitcom.
Well, it was supposed to be like the Predator credits.
Like
or
yeah,
something.
like you give a shit about these people at all.
No. The person I give the least shit about was the one they seemed to want me to care the most about, which was fucking Billy. God, they're like, every 2 seconds, they're like, Billy, what are you doing? Get over here, you dumbass. You got to shoot your gun at the things, otherwise you're going to die. It's okay, Billy. Come with me, Billy.
I lost my knife.
Oh, here you go, Billy. A soldier needs a knife. Thanks, but don't officers need their knife? Nah, officers only tell troopers where to die. Oh, God.
We also
that
have
was
a
smattering
tragic
of lines.
death scene where somebody dies, and like in order to comfort him as he's dying, the other guy holds him close and sings Red River Valley, the classic public domain
That
song.
was so dumb too, because I was like, "Who the fuck is this guy even?" And they're making the whole thing has been super serious, actiony, and then all of a sudden it's like, the score literally is going like, dun, dun, dun,
It's Red River Valley. It's just Red River Valley.
The music is so bad.
Well, at like the fact that that's an American folk tune like throws me off and irritates me because it shows a lack of understanding of like the mythology of the Starship Troopers universe. Like there was nothing, no cultural references, no nothing like that in the first one.
No, and this movie, there's a line in this movie, and maybe we can just get into like what actually happens here because
Sure.
but there's a line in this movie where somebody says it's like God, but not like the God people used to believe in.
Yeah.
It's like I am too lazy to write a different thing that is within the construct of this fascist world where they've left Christianity behind for only the Federation. So I'm going to use a modern day analogy and then just have the character saying like, well, like I am a master of the classics, and I knew how people used to think before the Federation, and that's what this feels like in my brain-altered state.
Yeah.
Well, there's also a whole part where somebody says like, you know, like without saying the word Jesus, he's like, there was this dude that, and nobody believed him, right? Doesn't he describe the story of Jesus?
But what he says that in the way that he posits it is that carpentry is the thing that killed Jesus. I have that as a note.
He should
no, because it's Sergeant Dill or Lieutenant Dill is talking about like, I'm not writing a report so much as I'm making your gallows. And then he's like, there was another guy who was into carpentry.
Yeah.
Didn't work out for him.
But that carpentry ended up being his cross.
I love when he's like, "You're gonna hang for this," and the guy's like, "Better be a regulation rope."
That's actually a good line.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fact that they're referencing Jesus and like American folk music, and like, I'm just like, that automatically makes me mad because I wanted to think that this was so far in the future that all of that has completely
It's the 23rd
fallen
century,
behind.
yeah.
Like maybe the concept of God and Jesus would still be around, but I feel like songs and like things, you know.
And the movie starts with a propaganda shot of them putting up the Mobile Infantry flag that is the Vietnam Memorial.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or is it the Korean War Memorial? Korean War, I think.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It might be Korea because in that documentary he said that he thought of this movie like as Korea. If Starship Troopers is World War II, that he thinks of this as Korea.
I believe it is the Korean War.
Another thing we were wondering if it was going to get carried over was all the the fascist stuff with the Federation, and I would say for the most part it is like put on the back burner in this movie, save for like I think the thing at the end.
Yes, I think the
propaganda at the end is
twist
very
at
much
the end redeems this movie a little bit. But no, I think that it gets way more into the politics within this unit.
Yeah.
And it kind of talks about what the Federation is, but I would say that most of the stereotypes or most of the commentary they're talking about would be the same if it was a Jarhead or if it was an Iraq movie.
It's more about the crew that they're with.
It's more just about war in general and not necessarily about this super fascist state.
Well, and there was more hints of the fact that, like, these bugs can't communicate with us and we don't really know their motives, you know, and that was sort of mysterious in the first movie. But now, like, they're straight up evil. They want to kill us all and they said so. Yeah, you know, like, and so it's just kind of like, oh, man, well,
so we're losing a little bit of that, ambiguity there, but...
yeah.
Right, like we were talking about if these asteroids were even attacking Earth.
Right. Now there's no questions. Like the bugs are bad.
The bugs are bad. They're attacking.
We're the good guys.
Well, and I think that that's one of the greatest sins of this, where I think that the ambiguity of Neil Patrick Harris's line of "it's afraid," and like we were kind of talking about, like what could that mean? I think that that's one of the things that gives the movie depth. Is kind of reading into the movie takes great pains to show what a dishonest prick he is, and so that we can't trust that line. And this movie kind of just says, "Yeah, they're evil. It's fine. Like we want to kill them. They're bugs. They're bad."
Yeah. Well, so this movie, I was super bored. Like I don't know, for the first 40 minutes maybe, and then like stuff finally starts to happen, and I was like, okay, this is getting a little bit more interesting for me. But still not great. But
yeah, for me, once I stopped wanting it to be Starship Troopers and seeing every reason why it wasn't Starship Troopers and just accepted, okay, this is just like basically a conventional alien horror movie. Once I accepted that, then I was like, oh, okay, you know, like, but you're just so annoyed in the beginning, especially because we just watched the first one last week, you know, maybe for other people it wasn't quite so jarring, but once I just accepted that this wasn't really going to be like that other one at all, I then was more okay with it.
I think that that's true, but I think that this movie makes you accept that through pure attrition. Where it's just like, you know what? Fine. Well, wait, you're gonna have make-out bugs and like these space marines want to fuck? Like, fine. Someone's named Lieutenant Soda, and they're gonna say like, oh, they're sipping on soda. It's like, fine. I think that was the breaking point for me. I think that's when I was like, okay, fuck this.
Well, yeah, so I made that species joke early in the beginning because there's partway through the movie when it's like starting to really kick in, there's these other, troopers that had arrived with the general, and the one girl is just like trying to have sex with everybody, and she comes out of the shower naked, and this one dude like stays behind in this room with her, and they're like about to make out, and then she goes like on his kisses him on the mouth, and then he's like, and like just start freaking out, and I was like, what the fuck? This is like straight out of Species.
Unfortunately, they didn't have the budget for Sill's like tongue going through the guy's head or whatever. No, they just kind of like awkwardly make out.
It was the same thing. It almost made me feel like, did she audition for that, for like one of the Species sequels and then didn't get it, but did this instead?
She kind of, yes. It seems
it was so similar.
Did you guys also check? So basically the plot is, so we can kind of talk around it, is that the bugs have found a new type of bug it's a parasite that can go into humans, and their plan is to infect the general, send him back to high command so that he can basically destroy the human race. And that's kind of what the psychics are seeing in their visions, but it's clouded. They can't quite see it. So we can talk around all that. But did you guys catch the other reference to a different movie that we've talked about? So it's very, very species heavy. All the other ones we've talked about, like all the crossover of Dragonheart. Oh, and we missed a Dragonheart.
We did. We need to issue a correction.
Yes,
because we're awful people. And
we only recognized the male characters who had previously been in sequels.
Yes.
Or male actors.
Dina Mayer is her name, right?
Yes.
She was Diz in Starship Troopers, but she was also the like main female
heroine
from Dragonheart. But I guess we just didn't recognize her without her Merida costume on, like
so stupid.
She was much younger, but still that was pretty bad of us. So because I know you were so disappointed in listening, Ms. Meyer, we're sorry.
Yeah. we did catch it. Ela's caught it. 2 days after it aired, and we were like, oh no.
Yeah, and sadly, I only caught it by listening to another podcast that was talking about Starship Troopers, and they mentioned it, and I was like, I was like, this podcast didn't even watch Dragonheart, and they mentioned it. Like,
So these bugs go into the mouth there, and there's a point where we haven't really talked about this character yet, but what's his name? Rax?
Who?
Dax.
Lord Carl from Desperate Housewives.
Carl.
Yeah.
Well, so he has a missing in action moment with one of these bugs where he is blindfolded, and just like Chuck Norris with the bag of rats,
I didn't think about that.
he bites one of the bug's legs off.
He doesn't even end up killing it, though.
No. Sahara comes in and saves him, but it is. I was like, oh shit, this is right out of Missing in Action.
That's amazing. I didn't think about that.
That's true. Also, the main general, his name was General Jack Shepard, and I was like, oh, lost reference.
Yeah, the moment for me when I started to like get more into this movie is when we finally get our first like practical effect thing when so the bugs go inside these people, but like basically the body is dead, I think, and they just are still like decomposing.
You can only have I think you can only use it for so long before you got to get out of there.
Yeah, so the one like technical guy, he had already in the midst of like trying to infect another dude had got his arm ripped off and stuff. And they say like, yeah, he's sleeping. And later the lead like bug guy goes and opens up this closet, and he's in there. It's like, hey, buddy, you okay? And he's like, I'm fine.
He looks like Gollum.
He's like this shriveled up dude.
Yeah.
But it's all like this practical puppet thing.
Yeah,
and I thought it was really cool.
And he's like, here, let me help you. And then he just picks him up, and like parts fall off of him.
And then he carries them into like trap these other two dudes. And they open the door, and he's like, what up, guys? And they're like, what the fuck? And then the dude rips his head off, and it was so gross. I thought that looked really awesome.
Oh, that looked awesome. This is where we get into the movie where it kind of introduces, like, okay, now we're doing, like, the thing. Like, Like, there's people in this outpost, the doors are closed, there's bugs outside, like, who's been taken, who hasn't been taken.
Yeah, certain people are going to get controlled by the bugs. Of course, there's one dude that we don't really trust, so we're going to blame him, same old shit.
And I like the same scene. You get to see the full design of like what I imagine the bug is like if it gestates long enough in a person. It comes out as like this full, we had previously seen it as like this tiny bug, right?
Yeah, right.
Comes out with this long like spine length bug or whatever, and the guys in the room like actually kill that bug, but then it has like this bulb on its butt that releases
it's like when you kill a mama spider.
Exactly,
Yeah,
it releases all those little bugs, and I was like, that was really cool and gross. I liked that kind of little bit of design there.
So to tell you the level that this movie's operating at, because we have a bunch of Marines hanging out in a place with not much to do, we get multiple scenes of people brushing their teeth.
Yep.
They have the pearliest whites in the fighting mobile infantry because it's just like, I guess, like, what else can they be doing? Like, what makes people vulnerable? Well, they take their shirts off and they brush their teeth, and we get to see like 3 or 4 scenes of this.
Yep, but then things start getting bad because as Sahara exclaims loudly, everyone's fucking instead of fighting. That's right. That's how we got stuck here.
I know there's like a
is that a Robin song?
Yes, that's what she said.
There's like a 30-minute stretch of the film where like everyone's like trying to have sex. Like people are like, hey, what are you up to? There's like this whole extended scene with like the main Dax guy and the first girl, I think Charlie Soda. Yeah. Who is like, she's like trying to seduce him, and he's like,
which I need you guys to fill me in on this scene because I was on the train and I could see where it was going, and I just fast forward just a touch.
She hits on him. And she's like, I just got so much energy. I need to get it out. And he's like, oh, you got energy, huh? So drop and give me 100.
Yeah. He's like, you're looking for some way to pass the time, huh? Well, come over here.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay. And then he's like, yeah, stop right there. Get on the floor. That's far enough.
That's actually pretty good.
And then before he leaves, he says, actually, make it 200.
Yeah. And she's like, God damn it.
It was really funny. That made me like that character.
It went on for so long, that scene where they're like, are you flirting with me?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I know where this is going. There's people looking at what I'm watching.
Yeah, I don't need to. Let me fast forward to the scene where, oh God, she's naked now. What? No, further
and covered in blood.
Yeah, further forward. She's naked again. Oh, fuck, no. Yeah.
So there's a main character whose name I now cannot remember. The redheaded girl.
Sahara, right?
No,
No, that was Brenda Strong.
the redheaded girl.
The psychic girl.
Yeah, that's Sahara.
Oh, that was Sahara?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, then never mind. Oh, Rake was Brenda Strong.
Yeah.
Rake was the one who said everyone was fucking.
Yeah.
Anyways, Sahara, she has like, of course, not that great psychic powers. So that's why she's in the infantry. She's not a black shirt, as they keep saying, which I guess are the psychic people. But her powers are like not good. They're kind of like unbreakable. I mean, not even as good as unbreakable, but like she touches you and then has like a vision.
Yeah.
But only if she touches you, and it's like super blurry and super quick, and yeah.
I thought it was like, yeah, doesn't the guy say like, why didn't you take the black? Doesn't he say something like that?
He's like, or why aren't you in a black shirt?
Yeah,
or
why aren't
something
you
like
wearing
that?
the black?
Yeah.
That's-
Yeah, you're blacks, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
When
I
she
thought of Game
touches
of
like the
Thrones.
main bug guy, like she sees that he has a black thumb, and then he doesn't have a black thumb. Is that a thing that I
The
saw?
black thumb, I think, is a indication that the bugs are in there because
Yeah.
you start dying from the
Yeah,
outside
right.
the body. But yeah, I don't know.
That's when she
Oh
has.
yeah,
that
and then he
weird-
was like, it was like cartridge burn or whatever it was.
Yeah.
yeah.
I was blowing in too many NSNES cartridges.
Oh, my fingers are looking kind of black. Yeah. I did kind of think it was interesting that they decided to go a little bit further into the whole psychic thing. But,
Yeah,
But the stuff, yeah.
the way they did it was horrible.
Yeah. The thing about her, like, the dude was like totally ignoring her, and then as soon as she's like, I'm pregnant, he was like,
Her visions
wait a
were
second,
like
what?
the tape from like The Ring or something. Yeah,
Yeah,
like these
yeah.
non out of context like shots of just like bugs. Where it's like that's not helpful.
Yeah.
Or like a thing about her fiance that died or whatever. It's like,
Right,
it's
and
not
there was
a
like an
vision.
ultrasound in one of them.
Yeah.
Pavlov Dill was having the same visions.
He was.
Well,
yeah.
he was having a weird one where it was like, look, it was just like the people standing outside and then the arachnids coming out.
It's an interesting thing. So like the consistent shot between all of their visions was like all of these bugs like running, and then
a terrible shot.
a terrible shot.
Okay.
But it matches perfectly with like the movie makes a point of making it match with what Dax does on the roof at the end.
Yeah, we eventually see that shot happen in real life.
Right. And so it's like, wait, so did the prophecy still come true?
Yeah, I think it did.
Okay. So she was infected?
They just didn't know. No, I don't.
No, she's not.
No, the prophecy was just that like something bad is happening. That's
Okay.
all. I don't think they were getting clear pictures at all. They just knew
No.
like the bugs are going to overrun us. That's what I'm seeing. The bugs are overrunning us, and she just had a bad feeling about people
Okay.
from her psychic.
So one by one, the people have sex, get infected by spiders, or maybe don't even have sex, and somehow
Even the
still get
general
infected.
succumbs to sex. I think.
Oh, the
Or she just attacks him.
No, the man.
no, he just gets attacked. Like she
Oh,
slits his throat
but why was she naked?
because.
Well, no, I think she was like,
I
hey,
think she
General.
seduced him, and then he
Maybe not even seduced. She just like caught him off guard, like just being by
Yeah,
naked.
I
But
don't-
who knows? We don't see what exactly
I
happened.
assume that she was trying to have sex with him.
Yeah, I guess.
Because he was laying down in his bed as well.
Private
So-
soda.
Yeah, but then there's like
Shirtless.
a really upsetting
But
like
everyone's shirtless in this movie.
yeah. Like Rake is one of the last ones to go, and Brenda Strong is actually like, you know, a really good actress. She's best known for being the like suicidal narrator on Desperate Housewives. And
Two people from Desperate Housewives.
yeah, and actually, like almost everybody in this movie has been on Desperate Housewives or Mistresses or another ABC primetime show. Like they must have the same casting or something. But anyways, there's like a really upsetting scene where they like hold her down and infect her with the bugs, and it's like a really upsetting like military rape. Like, and she even said in that behind the scenes feature that she like in the script when she was reading it, she didn't really realize, and then when they acted it out, she was like, ah, crap, this is like she's like, this is basically like a military rape. Like she said it in the documentary, and it's like very like, I mean, she kind of, what happens is she is able to inject herself with a bunch of adrenaline and come back and like kick ass in one last burst before then dying. But like, it's really graphic, and yeah I don't know.
That makes me feel bad about the silly joke that I wrote down.
Go ahead.
I was just saying because like she.
Here we go.
So no, that happens and it's horrifying. And then like there's the adrenaline that's up there, and then it just leads to this trail of syringes. They're like, what's happened? And they're like, oh my god, she's become Barry Bonds. And then she literally clubs somebody in the head and like knocks their head off. And then she has a gun, refuses to use it, and then just starts beating people with it.
Yeah, there was she gets to have this
in 1990s baseball.
She gets really like the only kind of like good comeback moment.
Yes, she
in the
does.
movie,
Yeah, there's an
so.
insane where she like grabs a butcher knife, and then there's like a 20-second scene of her like hacking this dude's head.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god, like
And then
she's
she
really
puts
going.
it in the microwave.
Yeah, and then a
was
bug
amazing.
crawls out, and then she takes the bug and
explodes.
throws it in her microwave. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Which is great. And then she saves Dax, or she gets enough energy to let him loose and then kills herself.
And this is where the movie, is fun. This is where it kind of picks up on what it's supposed to be. But
Yeah, you're finally getting into like, oh, this is like the B, maybe C movie I was looking for.
yeah,
Is it? So I thought, when she gets the bug put in her and then is able to like shake it off, I was thinking they were kind of introducing a new mechanic to how it gets, how the bug takes you over. Like I felt like you needed to like be asleep or like knocked out for some period of time because the guy said about the God thing, like he's like, you'll understand when you wake up.
I think it's like
Yeah.
bit by bit. I think it's a parasite.
And also,
I think that
the first girl who gets naked, like when they bring her in,
She's asleep.
she's also
Sleep.
knocked
Yeah,
out.
when you get the bug, you knock out, and then you're kind of like dreamy for a while. We
And it
saw those
takes
people that
over
were like
your-
just cuddling for no reason.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think with like Brenda Strong, since she immediately shot
Knew
herself,
what was happening, yeah.
she didn't fall asleep, and then she killed herself knowing that there was like no
Yeah.
other way.
Yeah,
I
there's
guess,
no way to
so,
do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of gross. She blows her head off. Like,
Yeah.
So none of the guns in this movie actually fire any. So like as we had,
They have
Starship
flashing
Troopers,
lights.
Yeah, had the most blanks ever fired for any movie ever. This movie is the dopest laser tag arena that you could ever play in.
Yeah,
but
and
it
they
makes
have-
for a bad movie.
They have exciting things like illumination rounds. And,
My favorite thing about the illumination round is somebody is like, yeah, now I can see. As a thing that somebody yells in the background.
what else did they introduce in this movie? They introduced these crazy bug zapper fences.
Oh yeah, the bug zapper fence is the coolest addition.
It was
for
cool,
this.
but I was also like, it took a lot to kill one of those things in the zapper.
yes,
Like they put it up and show it stopping like one bug at a certain point. And I was kind of like, okay, well, what if it was like 7 of them going through there at once? Would they just push each other through eventually?
they probably would, but I love the idea of a Tesla fence. Like it's just neat. It reminds me of like Command and Conquer back in the
Yeah.
Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not like an invisible,
Or
like,
No, it wasn't invisible.
not an
yeah.
invisible kill fence.
Right.
No, yeah.
There was also another thing like they're at this outpost, right? And no one's been there before, but the guy Dax who was like, locked up for murder, which we don't even need to talk about. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
He, was stationed there, so he knows how everything works. And so when he finally gets taken out, he sets up all this stuff, and it turns out this outpost has this crazy like perimeter burn feature where it like has these hooks that bring out these barrels full of napalm or whatever.
Yeah.
And there's this voice that comes over the outpost, and I swear to God, I had to look it up. I was like, it sounded like fucking Zordon from.
Sounded like Zordon.
It was like Rangers, a perimeter burn in 5, 4, 3, and I had to look it up. It was not the same guy. I'm pretty sure it was not the same guy, but I was like, damn, it sounds like Zordon. But I thought that was kind of cool. They launch these barrels off, and it just like creates a circle of fire around them at one point. That was a fun little moment, even though it didn't look super great.
Again, it's like the worst bottle. Like if people out there watch Battlestar Galactica, there's an episode early on that I malign, and it's the Space Mafia episode because it's really stupid. And this is like the Space Mafia episode. I hope that there's better installments of this franchise. There might not be, but
we'll see.
it's like it has some of the elements of the things that you like. It is executed poorly, And it's like, well, Nikki and Paulo's diamonds. I hope that maybe they'll come back at some point.
I will say that
I got lost in there.
I will say that the CG, when it was like a ton of arachnids, like didn't look super great. But the few times where it was like they were fighting one and it was kind of more up close, I thought it actually looked about as good as the last movie.
Yes.
And they also straight up used footage from the first film in the opening,
It did look as good as the last movie, but it was about almost 10 years later, so that's not a great.
Yeah, but if you have a smaller budget, the other one was like this is a TV movie.
Allegedly,
or,
this was a $7 million budget, which is low
compared to the other one, which was probably like 50.
Did this go to theaters or just?
No, it was. I think it was.
It was a made-for-TV movie for Encore Action.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which is like one of those other Cinemax type.
Yeah, so it was like it was the
Does that even exist anymore?
Encore? I think it does.
I think it does. It's one of those things where it's like the streaming arm of like it's owned by Paramount or Fox or maybe not anymore. Who knows?
Well, this is TriStar or something.
TriStar.
Right?
Yeah.
I want to talk about the ending because the big confrontation and they're fighting everybody and it comes down to Dax and Sahara are the only ones that are not either killed or infected. Mm-hmm. And the main guy of the bugs, I can't remember his name either, but the main white man that is the bad guy, he starts giving this speech like saying that like the bugs in the end are going to win no matter what you do, and the humans need to be wiped out and they don't deserve to live because they prioritize the one over the many, which the bugs don't do supposedly, and humans do that. But that's like the opposite of what the entire first movie was about. The whole point was that they're not emphasizing the one over the many. They're making them these nameless mobile infantry that like, so that's why I was kind of like, these bugs don't even have the right idea about these humans, and we're just completely forgetting everything from before. And
it was like a wiki version of communism versus fascism. Is what that was, and it's like, okay, cool.
I get that it's like the hive mind, but they were positing similar things in the first movie.
Basically, what they're saying is that human intelligence is a disease because it allows you to believe anything.
Yeah,
which like okay, that's a stronger idea than the tapping into whatever hive mind thing that you're saying is like.
It's like the one brain controls everything.
Yeah. It's so, but basically what they say is that this was the Bugs' plan, that they wanted to bring the general here, they wanted to trap everybody here, and so the general's running up to be rescued, and it is our hero's job to kill him. And Dax has already been imprisoned. He's already a killer because we can tell that. Basically what he said is that, like, I was tired of watching all these young kids die. Like, I was tired of feeding people
more meat for the grinder.
Yeah, meat for the grinder.
This guy's like, he's weirdly not like fully against the Federation. He is like, he does his duty and he like protects the fort and protects other people, but he's like pretty disillusioned with the whole thing.
Yeah, like he's a conscientious objector. Like he's like, but he's in the shit, and like he's like, so I'm gonna do what we need to do to survive. But like he killed his officer because he was making dumb decisions. It was like he's like, I'm fine for fighting for the good fight. Like he still believes in a certain way, but he was also disillusioned with like, we're just killing kids. And so he ends up killing this general, and then Sahara's like, "Oh no, get on the plane!" And he's like,
somebody finally comes to rescue them.
Yeah,
right.
Like one thing that has like a driver and another.
Yeah. So the other soldier sees him kill the general,
and he's like, "Murderers don't go home."
That's why he can't get on the.
Yeah. And then so he goes out in a blaze of glory.
Which was kind of cool.
It was kind of cool.
It's like shooting the gun.
It was one of like a bad Sam Raimi zoom boom of him having like two guns being like general.
Yeah, and then we get to see that scene that everyone's been seeing in the vision.
Right.
The bugs finally overrunning him in a blue light or whatever.
And he kills more, like his kill count is higher than anybody.
He does a good job.
Well, and he tells her like, you got to go back and warn everybody about the mind control bug. Or
yeah.
And he's like, you can save the Federation. Like, so he does care about that.
Well, yeah, kind of. He cares about saving lives, but I don't think he cares about the Federation itself.
No, yeah.
So, which is why the ending is like
he is one of the most like, I think that he's like a douchey meatbag that is not very likable, but I think that
I didn't think he
I
wasn't
thought he was
likable.
likable.
Yeah.
at the end of the day, he's probably the most compelling character in any of these movies so
Right,
far.
he seemed like the most human out of everyone in
Yeah.
this movie, at least.
Yep.
Well, he's not. Like I said, I feel like the whole middle of this movie is not the propaganda that the entire first film was. It's like an actual view of what it was like or whatever.
Well,
So-
and then he's the wise person there. Like, he is the guy who's unflappable. He's the guy who's teaching the
Yeah.
rookies what to do. He's the guy who.
So this is like the first time we're seeing actual emotion. Well, not they had other people had emotions. But this is the time we're seeing actual realistic depictions of like what people would actually do, and
Yeah, and
he's
this
the
is-
best one out of them. So therefore, he becomes
Yeah.
like the character that we, as modern day people with our ideas, identify with the most.
Yeah, and it makes sense that his character exists now because, like, so this movie takes place like 5 years after the last one. So now, like, the first movie, they are, for the first time really taking the fight to the bugs.
Yep.
This now they've been in it for 5 years and it's not going well. So
Yeah.
that's why that gives it the space for this character who's totally disillusioned and like, fuck all this to exist. And, I don't know about you guys, but yeah, while I was watching this movie, I was also like, fuck all this. I already know the Federation sucks. So I was like, empathizing with his character.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
And then, so what happens to him, he dies at the end, and then we get another propaganda video that bookends the end of the film here, and it gives us what I think is like the closest hint to what we were looking for as far as like continuing the fascist, like the Federation is not a good place. So so in this propaganda video, they take this guy who the entire movie has been like, fuck officers.
He's a murderer. He's not a good dude.
Well, not even that.
Yeah.
Like a guy that, like you said, is clearly against the Federation and what they're doing. And now they they have hilariously found all this stock footage.
It was a certainty that he would hang when he came back. It was a certainty that he would be a war criminal and he would die.
Right, but I'm not even talking. I'm talking about his
Sure.
principles.
Yeah.
They bastardize his principles and make this propaganda video where he is like the hero, and now they're using his fucking smile from when he first got, recruited into the ranks as like, this guy is a fucking hero. This is who you should be, like Lieutenant Dax or Captain Dax or whatever he was.
He's the titular hero of the Federation.
Exactly, and they're like, they put up a statue of him holding the gun that he has at the end, and he's smiling, and I did think it was funny that they seem to have clips from the movie in the propaganda.
Yeah.
Like, how'd they get those? But yeah, there's a shot of him like super young and smiling, like in his original uniform and stuff. And I thought that was really fucked up. And
It's really sad. It's like the opposite of what this guy would have wanted.
Yeah.
Which makes the movie like slightly more poignant than I would have given the rest of it credit
Right,
for.
exactly.
Yes,
Like,
it's
in the
like, okay, so you
very
kind of
end.
knew what you were doing, like, because
Yeah.
it seems like that maybe, like, all of those lines about pregnancy, it's like, ooh, were you serious? Like,
Yeah.
you might have been.
Well, and then she has the baby, and some recruitment officers like, you better grow up soon so you can go die or
Yeah,
whatever.
He's
She's
we
like,
need
what?
more meat for the grinder. And she's
Yeah.
like, fuck that. Yeah. And that's just kind of how it ends. But
Yeah, and here's what I would like. I know I have this working theory that it's the middle is not the propaganda, but overall, like I said, I was able to accept this movie more once I stopped wanting it to be Starship Troopers, and I think that like the concept of doing that is good and could be interesting. Like I remember, like around the time that Solo came out, people were saying like, we got to do something different with Star Wars, and maybe there should be different things in the Star Wars universe, like a rom-com and a horror movie. And this
There
is sort of
absolutely
like
should, by the
what
way.
this is. Like it's a horror movie that takes place in the universe of Starship Troopers that we kind of already know. It wasn't perfectly executed, or maybe not even well executed by any means, but like if you just think of it that way, it is way less offensive, I think. And it kind of reminded me too of that movie that we watched, Overlord. It's like, so yeah, that puts you in the middle of World War II. We already know about the World War II stuff, so it doesn't have to like really go into that, and it can just have this ridiculous horror movie that's like plopped in the middle of World War II.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I don't know.
Do you guys want to get into ratings? Do you guys want to get into what this means for Starship Troopers, the universe proper, and what it could go going forward?
I think we should do the ratings first. But
Yeah.
first, I just want to mention one other thing
Yes.
that I was curious what you guys thought. We briefly talked about the music. It's not the same composer. But there's this theme in the opening of the movie that's supposed to be like, I don't know, the Federation March or something.
Sure.
But it's not, they didn't like license the music at all from the first film. So
Really?
it's like,
Because he's in the credits and stuff.
Oh, really?
Like, original
Oh.
theme by...
oh, okay. Well, maybe I compared the two marches and they didn't sound the
Okay.
same. So
Well,
maybe
it could be a different one,
It could have
too.
been a different theme,
Yeah.
yeah. But this opening march, it opens over like a black screen and then just the titles come up in like Times New Roman. Or no, not even that. Just like
No, it's a shitty font.
some like basic ass font. But the whole time this music is playing.
I wrote the note and like they're gonna make fun of me for making fun of this font.
No,
Oh. We're into fonts. We're smart.
But the music is playing the whole time. I was like, are we about to watch like some sort of like college comedy? It sounds like they're about to like, it's like open
the
up
dean.
on it sounds like they're about to open up on like a fraternity shot in like 1976 Princeton College.
But guess what? I miss the fucking teen drama from this. I kind of wish that B story, that A story. I don't give a shit.
This
Like,
movie, the last movie was 2 hours and 4 minutes. This movie is an hour and a half. So we cut out all that 30 minutes of
Character development.
character development. Yep.
Got none of it.
So you just get one scene where it's
Oh.
like, Otter, get over here.
and Billy died. Just so you know, like they tried to make us care, and then he just
That
died.
was dumb.
Yeah.
He was
Especially
the one that,
because he got taken over by the bugs, but he was still being kind of like, I'm young and dumb.
wasn't
like,
he the one talking about God?
Yeah.
I got confused as to who was who as well too.
Because nobody was memorable.
What about that scene where they're like, they tell that one bigger guy like, hey, can you like get on your hands and knees and crawl through this hole so you can help me with the thing on the other side? And then they just like fucking kill him. That was
Yeah.
good.
Did you watch the credits?
Yes.
There were 3 people that were credited only as special effects wizards. So,
nice.
I guess they literally used magic.
Oh, that's crazy.
And they did give a special thanks to Paul Verhoeven. So I don't know
sweet.
if they talked to him about it or if it was just like, thanks for starting the franchise.
Yeah.
Or I don't know
Probably.
what the deal was, but
Did you watch all the way to the end, Tyler?
I scrubbed through. It didn't seem like there's anything there at the end.
Oh, well, you missed at the very end over the TriStar logo,
Okay.
the bugs go. Just like that. You missed it.
I did miss it.
I mean,
You're right.
the bugs are still out there, man. That's what they wanted you to know.
same thing happened in Leprechaun Origins that we watched last
Oh my
weekend.
God.
At the end of the credits.
So
That's right. We watch bad movies outside of this podcast.
we do.
And that movie, I think, had the longest credits of all time.
It really
did.
did. It really did.
But Tyler,
Anyway.
what you have a rating system?
Oh boy. How many illumination rounds would you give Starship Troopers 2 Hero of the Federation?
Me? I'll go first. Sure. I'm going to give it 3 illumination rounds.
Ooh.
Poof, poof, poof. Wow, I can see 3 different
I can
things.
see 3 different rounds.
Yeah, I actually was prepared to be like even harder on this movie, but it kind of, I feel like it turns it around once things actually get going and you're away from just like the interpersonal stuff with the like all the soldiers that you don't know their names and don't care about. Once stuff starts actually going down and you see what's really going on with the like, the species bugs that are kind of like taking people over, like the thing. I thought that was actually kind of fun. And when it starts to gets to go full B movie, that's what it should have been the whole time.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they clearly were trying to save, I think, all their money for the end.
This movie, we didn't say this. The first like half of this movie takes place in a fog machine.
Yes, exactly.
It's literally inside.
That's
of a
why I was
fog
saying it was
machine.
dusty.
Yeah.
You can't see what's going on. But I think the little bit of fun that it has, and then the kind of like twist at the end. It's not really a twist, but where they show that what they've done to Dax and made him the quote unquote hero of the Federation, I think redeems it slightly. So I'm not going to give it like a 1 or something, but I'm going to give it a 3.
I'm inclined to be even kinder than that and give it 4 illumination rounds. I might have gone even higher, but you've convinced me that I'm probably giving it too much credit. Sure. And I've like put this whole narrative on it that doesn't exist, but I still think it could be an interesting way of looking at it. And I am intrigued by the idea of going to a completely different genre within the same universe. They may not have been intending that, but that's what happened. And I think think that's something we really haven't like seen in any of these franchises so far.
Yeah, I think that it really does feel like a bad episode of a show I like, and that has like some interesting stuff that like, oh man, like, and then like in 2 seasons on, they're like, oh, they brought that back. They brought that back. That's cool. I will give it. I was going to say 2. I will give it 3. I think that once it gets there, boo, boo, boo. I think that once it gets to the bottle episode, we're locked in this installation, who's who. It's not done with any craft or skill, but it is done with a lot of gore and fun. And it does redeem itself at the end by it's named Hero of the Federation. It has this guy be this subversive character. He's basically Snake Plissken, and then they turn him into this patriotic, guy that is not who he is. And so it carries on the spirit much more than I actually thought that they could.
Yeah. The propaganda machine is alive and well.
So let's talk about what this means for Starship Troopers proper and going into this 3rd film. Because we now know that the bugs can take over humans, which is a very big deal.
Yeah.
I think that they're just going to completely forget that that's a thing that they can do and then probably move into something.
Technically, I mean, okay, yeah, you could say the explanation for that could be that Sahara went to the Federation, told them all about it, and they fucking shut that shit down. Or they're aware of it, so it's not happening.
Or they
as
like
much.
test everybody,
right.
somehow.
So they could explain that.
Oh my
away.
god! This was 2004, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, this is post 9/11. They could do it 2008. It could be a whole screening thing like that. That's actually incredibly interesting to me.
Yeah.
What's the movie where they have a thing on their neck that they have to? Oh, and it's Westworld. Yeah, they like scan everybody. Like they're like, show me the thing on your neck. Like they could
Make
do
sure you're
something
not
like
in
that.
Yeah.
What movie? It's
Is
Westworld.
is there anything in this that you want to see carried forward story wise?
Not really. I mean, this feels very standalone. Like, let's zoom in on this one patrol of people.
So you don't like I
Platoon or
tend
whatever.
to agree in that the bug parasite idea isn't interesting.
Yeah, it probably won't continue. I mean, I don't know. They could, like if it was like the Skrulls or whatever, they could make something interesting with it if they wanted to bring it back at some point.
But they wanted to make it a finite thing. Like if that general made it to Earth,
Right.
then it'd be over. It'd be done.
Yeah. But it would be interesting if like partway through the movie, all of a sudden, like you had kind
Somebody's
of forgotten
like,
about it.
I'm a bug boy.
Yeah, and you're like, I'm this guy again, and you're like, oh shit,
I'm a bug
I feel
boy,
like-
And,
baby.
it seemed like they really only had a few days. Like, we don't really know. Like that, yes, that general was high up, but he also, like, he wasn't the president of the Federation.
Sure.
How much could he have really done in the few days before he started shriveling and turning purple,
Right.
and somebody could have stopped him. We don't know.
Well, and then like there is definitely it's not as explicit, but there was definitely a Tremors style stages of what this parasite bug could do. There was a larva, there was like the big spine bug, like so we got to see that like there is different evolutions here, and so like I like the baby bugs on the baby spider bugs from that parasite. We got to see some new bugs.
When it came out and it was small, it looked like a small version of the giant brain bug that they capture in the beginning of the first movie, which I did like that at least.
So I hope that more bugs. I hope that evolution of bugs to fight us specifically. That's a cool idea.
There's got to be
See
new
more of
bugs
that.
every movie, otherwise it's like, why bother? That's how I feel.
Will there be a Zordon voice?
I hope so. No, I was glad to see that there was like a new type of bug in this one because I feel like they have to up the ante. It can't be like the same.
Hey, don't tell anybody from Tremors that, okay?
Well, there was a new thing.
There was new Tremors every time.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much.
African variety or whatever it was.
Oh well, yes. Well, sci-fi is a different story.
After the original people left.
Yeah. I think that I don't know. I hope they keep kind of the fascist propaganda thing going somehow.
I hope so too.
I don't have like that much hope for it, but optimistically, I hope it does. So.
Yeah, I mean, there's something. I'm blanking on the word right now, but there's something that having it named here with the Federation, I think that there is some subversion to this series, and I hope that there is at least an element to that. And I feel like this movie did the bare minimum, bare minimum. But because in the title and because you have a opening propaganda and a closing propaganda, makes it seem intentional, but it could be completely from reshoots.
Yeah. Well, and also, like, Phil Tippett as the director, you know, the guy's been around a bajillion movies. He knows what's up. But, like, you know, his main thing is the special effects. And so with the budget he had, he did as much as he could of that, you know? So, like, I'm sure if he had more money, he would have loved to make giant, you know, bugs out in the battlefield or whatever. But since he knew that was not even feasible, took it all the way down to parasites.
Yeah, we only see the two types of bugs, like the soldier bugs and the invader parasite bugs.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't want to, like, knock him too hard because, like, it's a movie.
It's limited budget. So. What can you do?
Yeah, $7 million sounds like a lot, but it is
not for this type of movie.
Not for this type of movie.
So next week we are fast forwarding just 4 years to 2008 for Starship Troopers 3 Marauder. Not really sure what that means. What's that going to mean?
Pirates.
Yes,
that would be awesome.
I'm gonna probably drop way
space boats. Space boats. Space boats. Space boats.
I'm probably gonna drop way too many StarCraft references on this one. But we'll find out.
Ooh, that could be fun. Yeah, I mean, I've got no idea. I saw some spoilers about things, but I'm not gonna say anything.
Don't tell us.
I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not
you
gonna
bastard.
Say. Sorry.
But if you have a story about a space boat or some other type of Marauder story, Eliz, where can they get in touch with us?
Please email us, sequelrights@gmail.com. We're already at the halfway point of this series, so we need to know where to go from here. And also find us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Sequel Rights.
Tyler.
And, go
where
ahead.
Can people send us reviews?
We want your stars. We're starving for stars.
We are.
Give us a 5-star review, and we will be your best friends for life.
We're starving for stars.
But no, 5-star reviews go a really long way. If you like the podcast at all, if you like it a little, if you want to have us make more just so you can hate listen, give us 5 stars on iTunes and tell us why you hate us, and we will be sure to make more content.
We will make direct changes based on your responses.
No promises.
Yeah, asterisk, no promises. Well, thanks for being here, everybody. Thanks again to my brother for the theme song at the top of the show. And, we're marching into the future against those fucking bugs next week, Starship Troopers 3.
Kill them all.